Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on The Flash Season 9. So we have The Flash coming back to the filming side of things in about a week's time, roughly. I'm sure if you follow, Grant Gustin, who of course plays Barry Allen, you might have seen him posting some updates where you can see him getting prepared for the final season of filming. I think even Danielle Panabaker, who plays Caitlin, has posted about to, head back to work and stuff like that. Now at this point, which some of you would know if you have been keeping up to date with things, well, there are no updates in regards to things like castings for this final season, which makes you wonder if there will actually be any major new characters, or at least major in any form. Because technically last season there really wasn't either, unless you count Despero during Armageddon, which I guess you would, so there was probably one. But outside of that, both of the other villains, Deathstorm and Reverse Flash, were returning characters from previous seasons, or at least with Deathstorm, a returning actor. So with the final season of The Flash, I could see them not having any major characters or new major characters like a villain or even someone a part of Team Flash. I mean, the latter, the Team Flash, it would be really weird if they introduced this major new character and we went to develop them in 13 episodes while doing all this other stuff in a final season. I'd actually be extremely annoyed if they even attempted to do that. And along with that, I could see the news that we get in regards to castings for this final season would be very similar to what we saw with the final season of Arrow when they announced those, classic characters like Tommy Merlin and Adrian Chase, for example, coming back to play around before the show does wrap up. However, one thing that popped up on social media piqued a lot of people's interest and curiosity levels over the past couple of days, and it actually leads into a topic I already had planned to talk about in a video or involve in one video, so perfect timing, I guess. And this involves, as you can tell by the title, Oliver Queen. But of course, throughout the video, be sure to let me know your opinions, theories, predictions, expectation, what you want. Let me know all that in the comment section down below. Very curious to hear what you guys have to say, especially about this stuff, because it is, definitely a fan-driven conversation. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video, want to show support, and you're looking forward to the final season of The Flash, want to drop a like on the video to do all that. So over the past couple of days, I think it would be about maybe like 2 or 3 days ago from when you'll see this video, Stephen Amell, aka your boy, Oliver Queen, aka the Hood of the Hood, posted on social media, I think it was specifically Twitter, I don't know if it was Instagram as well, but I saw it on Twitter, with this photo saying, "Something about flipping my hood up in Vancouver feels eerily familiar," which is not only like, oh yeah, a bit of a flashback to Arrow, but some felt, you're teasing something. You're teasing something, aren't you? Now, of course, Vancouver is where they filmed Arrow and also currently film The Flash, up until, March, I think is when they finished filming the final season. So, as you'd expect, when this was posted, people got speculating. They didn't necessarily hit the whiteboards with the Charlie Day meme. Is it from Always Sunny? I'm not too sure. There was none of that going on, but there was definitely some just speculating in like a base level going, could Oliver Queen be really showing up? And as I said, The Flash is about a week away from filming, so the connections do make some sort of sense. But here's the big question. Do they make complete sense? If that makes sense. Stop saying sense. What the hell? Well, I think most of us expect Oliver to be in the final season of The Flash. In regards to anyone who isn't seen as a Flash character, so someone who originates from The Flash, people expect Oliver over anyone else. Like that includes Supergirl or any of the Legends or like Superman. And they are of course characters that are alive. Oliver died in Crisis. He's the only character we've mentioned there that is dead. So logically, you would think he would be one of the last ones people would think of, I guess, amongst the other dead characters as well. But of course, it is important to remember that Oliver can appear in a bit of a different way now, thanks to the events of Crisis. I mean, we have Oliver to thank for the new multiverse that we are currently in at the moment. But just a bit of a rewind, so Chicka rewinded back a bit. What about that photo from Twitter? Is Steven in Vancouver for The Flash, or even a show like Superman and Lois maybe, which starts filming over like the next week or so as well, just before The Flash? Well, maybe. It is important to remember that Steven has returned to Vancouver at other points beyond filming for these shows before. He is a businessman, so he could easily be there for business like I'm sure he has before. But the timing is an interesting one, and it would be the most fitting of any, he'd be the most fitting out of any like non-Flash character to return for the final season due to the fact that Barry, Allen as a character, spun out of Arrow. He first appeared on Arrow, spun out into the Flash show, and then Oliver was in the pilot episode of The Flash as well, and then Barry also went to Oliver's funeral in the finale of Arrow. I honestly think it would be almost weird and a massive mistake to not at least attempt to try and feature Oliver in the final season of The Flash, whether it's episode 1, episode 5, or the series finale in episode 13. It is important to remember is also because someone actually pointed this out to me like after I saw that photo initially, saying, "Oh, did you see this on Instagram?" And Steven posted himself in Vancouver with his daughter. So, you know, it's obviously not a one-day trip. Otherwise, I don't think he would have taken his daughter. So, I don't know. Maybe it's settling in for like a week or two of filming. I don't know. But one of the big, questions with this final season of The Flash, because Arrow did it pretty well for its final season. I can't remember Supergirl's, but Supergirl didn't do any sort of crazy final season things from memory. But with The Flash's final season, do they keep the castings, or I guess return castings, a surprise? So if we get nothing being announced after this point, after we're, talking in this video right now, and we all think, oh, it's a dud, nothing's happening. Steven there wasn't there for filming anything. He was just there to, I guess, be in Vancouver and do whatever. But then we get a surprise in episode 1 or some other episode in The Flash's final season, and that would be the same for any other returning characters from the Arrowverse as well, and they just sort of keep it a secret. Sometimes you're not going to be able to get away with it because it's going to be like, set photos. Like if they film on like a street in Vancouver, especially now that the whole pandemic thing is sort of like calmed down a bit to a level that's almost normal, it would almost be a surprise if they got away with anything like that. Obviously, if they're filming in Star Labs or anything like that, easily they get away with it. I mean, they did the whole Ezra Miller cameo back in Crisis. No one even knew what was going on there. So they could easily do it if it's kept within like an inside shooting. But even then, they did public shots or public shooting with Matt Letcher, and no one knew who was back for season 8 of The Flash. So they could definitely keep it a surprise if they don't announce it publicly through places like Deadline, TV Line, Hollywood Reporter, all that stuff. But of course, The Flash, because it is its final season, is going to be one of those hot ones, if that makes sense, that people are always going to be trying to get photos of, because it's going to be one of those ones, because it is the final season, that will get clicks online, especially if it is a big returning character, whether it is Oliver Queen or just someone else from the past. Even if it's like a Flash character like Wally West or something, it's going to be one of those hot ones that people want to go get photos and then post online because they're going to be talked about, which means clicks, which means you know what. So I think we'll know. I don't think a lot of these castings will remain a surprise if they do any public scenes. But one important thing in regards to returning characters potentially for this final season of The Flash is it is not only, we're not only celebrating the Flash ending, 9 seasons of The Flash. We're, probably celebrating, if not saying goodbye, to the Arrowverse. This is the last Arrowverse show and it's ending. So we're not just saying goodbye to Barry and all the guys at Star Labs, but just this world in general, which is a big thing. This world's been going on for 10 years. I think next month, probably like a month from now, I think, the Arrowverse turns 10 years old. And that's crazy to think that it's going to be ending come like, I don't know, May, probably, like maybe, or June or something next year. That's when the final season, or the final episode of The Flash will air. So it's crazy to think. So that probably puts more weight on the shoulders of The Flash in its final season to say goodbye to maybe some other characters as well. So that'll be interesting to see what they do. However, the 13 episodes that they've got, which isn't too many, obviously puts a question mark on that, because it makes you go, well, are you going to waste episodes of The Flash to say goodbye to other characters? But it just depends how you do it. You can do it without necessarily wasting The Flash's time, if that makes sense. But how do you bring back Oliver Queen? Well, I've got 4 options. There's probably more, but these are the 4 I've just written down because I think it's ones that I could see them doing. I'm sure there's like some other one, zombie Oliver Queen, maybe someone will write. The obvious one is the one that is the current way we think Oliver would be, and that's the Spectre. So the Spectre, I think, is the most easy one to do in regards to him being there in the current day. So like in the events of season 9 of The Flash, the Spectre could show up. So that could easily happen. I think it's probably the top one. I think if you probably put on like a probability rating, probability level. I mean, it's probably like, 60, 70%, maybe even more. So, yeah, I think it's the easy one that most people would expect. But it's probably the easiest one to do because he can just show up. The next one is time travel. It just depends if Barry does any time traveling. That's probably like a flip of the coin because Barry knows he shouldn't time travel. But then again, this is the final season. I'm sure Barry will maybe find a reason to time travel, whether it's for good or bad. I could see that happening, and maybe it runs back to a time where Oliver's still alive and stuff like that. So that could easily happen. The next one is multiverse. A lot of people expect them to rediscover the multiverse in this final season. I don't know if it's going to be a story point though. So And also, like, you're not getting your Oliver back as well. Like, the multiverse is interesting because you meet all these random new versions and stuff like that. If we go to, like, Earth, I don't know, 32 or something, and it's, like, some hippie Oliver Queen, like, it's not the same. I guess it'd be funny to see Stephen Amell play that, but it's not the same, you know what I mean? So, multiverse is probably the one I wouldn't want the most out of these four. And the last one, I think, is actually a pretty interesting one, which wouldn't involve Barry sort of messing with the story or the timeline at all. And that's a flashback. Arrow loved a flashback for its opening 5 seasons. There was flashbacks all the time. The story ran off flashbacks. So that'd be a nice little like homage to do like a thing with Oliver Queen in an episode or a couple of episodes where it's pretty much revolving around flashbacks. And maybe we flashback to a scene or two or just a general event that's maybe split up in flashbacks throughout an episode with Oliver and Barry, and it's something that we never saw on screen, whether it is a complete event, so there was them versing a villain or teaming up for a villain that was never in an episode or a crossover or anything like that, or it's, you know, certain events that take place within a crossover event like Crisis on Earth X, maybe even Infinite Earths or whatever it might be, whatever sort of event in the past. But we didn't see it on screen. It wasn't in the actual episodes. So I think flashbacks would be cool because you get a lot of them. They're cool scenes between the proper Oliver and the proper Barry, while also not messing with the timeline and also the actual episode itself. So I think that'd be the coolest way to do it, though the most likely one is the Spectre. But I think probably flashbacks probably goes number 2 behind Spectre, I think. Now, I think Oliver would be in the top 3 characters for most people to return for this final season. And I'm going to list my top 3 characters right now. Obviously, number 1 is Oliver. I put him number 1. But I've also put Supergirl, and I'm sort of like trying to think what other people would think as well. So I put Supergirl number 2. But in number 3, it's sort of like a combination in regards to options. And I just put the Justice League. So that's Superman, Black Lightning, White Canary, Martian Manhunter, Supergirl, and even Batwoman. And maybe even Green Arrow if we flash back to an even earlier team up in this Earth Prime timeline with these characters. I think that would be a massive fan moment if they did that, because we never really got to properly just see those heroes together, those 7 heroes, I guess 8 if you include Green Arrow, fight together. You just saw like it sort of form at the end of Crisis, and it's been alluded to, stuff that happened elsewhere. But I think that'd be really, really cool. The Batwoman thing is obviously going to be an issue. But I don't know. They probably, if it's in the present day, I guess it'd be Javicia Leslie. But if you do it in the past, maybe they ring Wallace Day and go, "Hey, we know the storyline you weren't KK before. Maybe we can just make it work anyway." Or maybe it's just a stunt person and Batwoman doesn't really say anything. You just see her in the background or something like that. But yeah, do keep your eye out for updates from the final season soon as they do start filming and maybe announcing stuff as well. I'm looking forward to covering this final season of The Flash. It's going to be a bit of an emotional one, but it's also a very exciting one as well. But yeah, hopefully you guys are looking forward to all that as well. So keep your eyes out for all that stuff. And yeah, just be vigilant. You know what I mean? But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like and to show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions about everything we went over in this video. Do you want to see Oliver Queen back? How would you bring him back? And what are some other characters in your top 3, maybe top 5 that you'd like to see come back for this final season of not only The Flash, but potentially the Arrowverse as well? So let me know all that in the comments. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. And I will catch you guys later. Goodbye.